All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report Alert. October 31st, 2025. Happy Halloween. Today we're going to be talking a lot about Venezuela. We're going to talk about the thing going on with the ministers going into military bases. And then, of course, we're going to talk about all the other stuff going on in the Middle East and wherever the heck else crazy is going on, which is basically everywhere in the world right now. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. We'll have more of that on the end. We appreciate you being here. Here we go. Russian troops have conquered all of Pokrovsk city, south of the railway line, infiltrated all neighborhoods north of the railway line. Russian DRGs have reached the town of Grishino in the northwest. Russian troops of Pokrovsk outskirts less than a kilometer from closing the pocket and trapping somewhere between 500 to 3,000 Ukrainian troops. Zelensky and Syrskyi could have made a gradual withdrawal in September from the cities and saved the lives of these soldiers, but they didn't want Western newspapers reporting the fall of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, which would have lowered faith from the Western investors. Even with the catastrophic shortages of manpower, Zelensky and Syrskyi still treat their men as an expendable and sabotage any initiatives of peace. First Russian DRGs reached the town of Grishino in the northwest. Russian troops at Pokrovsk outskirts, less than a kilometer. And, they're just not doing the negotiations. So it's bad. Senior officials in the IDF, Northern Command, told the IDF and Mossad are preparing for a growing threat from Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. Iran has poured resources into militias like Hezbollah to enable missile and drone attacks against Israel from the Iraqi territory. Israel has sent warnings to Baghdad via the U.S. as it practices defensive operations along the Jordan Valley. 1 minute before midnight, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the United States government is now considering striking Venezuelan military targets used for drug trafficking, especially in the divisions of CEOFANB. WSJ reports that the Trump administration has identified targets in Venezuela, military facilities that smuggle drugs. According to U.S. officials familiar with the matter, if President Trump decides to move forward with airstrikes, they said targets would send a clear message to the Nicolas Maduro regime. It's time to step down. The president hasn't made a final decision yet, ordering land strikes, and officials said a potential air campaign would focus on targets and go after the nexus of drug gangs and Maduro regime. Trump and his senior aides have been particularly focused on unsettling Maduro as the U.S. military has attacked boats allegedly carrying drugs in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific Ocean. Potential targets under consideration include ports, airports controlled by the military, and they're allegedly using traffic drugs, including naval facilities, airstrips, and these are all according to officials. Targets inside Venezuela that are attacked would mark a significant escalation of the campaign. USNS Supply T AOE 6 currently operating with USS Ford CSG-12, tracked today some hours ago, leaving the Aegean Sea, entering the Libyan Sea and the Mediterranean. Ship is moving 18 knots. Estimated travel time is 11 days as it arrives at ETA at Ponce, Puerto Rico, around 12:30 on the 11th of November. More assets to the region. Brent and WTI oil prices are both up following the news of Venezuela. Russian Foreign Ministry announced a ban on entry for a number of representatives of European institutions, EU countries, in response to the adoption of the 19th package of sanctions in the European Parliament. UN accuses the U.S. of violating international law with attacks on vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, denounced the United States in breaking international law by carrying out airstrikes against vessels allegedly linked to the drug game and all that. Donald Trump administration has intensified offensive against Latin American cartels, which it considers terrorist groups, generating tensions with Venezuela and Colombia. Pentagon confirmed the deployment of the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier in the region to reinforce operations started in August. Breaking, Trump urges the Senate to initiate the nuclear option and get rid of the filibuster. Chinese defense minister tells United States counterpart both sides should build trust. French police have arrested 6 over armed robbery at a gold laboratory. Resuming nuclear weapons testing is responsible, according to the Pentagon chief Hegseth. FBI has thwarted a potential terrorist attack and arrested multiple subjects in Michigan who were allegedly plotting a violent attack over the Halloween weekend. SpaceX is set to receive $2 billion in development satellites that can track missiles and aircraft under Trump's Golden Dome project. Trump appointees Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and others have all relocated their homes to U.S. military bases for safety. The left is so peaceful. Trump is going to strike Venezuelan military installation in a matter of days or hours. Hezbollah is rearming and restored its depleted military stocks after Israel continued to bomb Lebanon despite ceasefire, according to Reuters. Hezbollah is rearming, not retreating, rebuilding its stockpile of rockets, anti-tank missiles, artillery with Iranian help, and smuggling routes through Syria. This was also confirmed by Iranian member of parliament Ahmed Hossein Sabeti, who said he was also shocked how Hezbollah managed to arm itself in a very short time. 1 year after Israel's 2-month blitz, the group is quietly restocking, retraining, and reasserting power of Beirut in the Bekaa Valley. Disarmament deal was meant to neutralize from the south to the Litani River has failed after Israel continued to bomb Lebanon and continued to violate the ceasefire. Israel has conducted over 1,500 strikes since the truce, drone patrols over Lebanese skies. Hezbollah insists it's only defending Lebanon's sovereignty, and Israel's military is already dug in across the south of Lebanon. Chinese company CATL is mass-producing first sodium batteries. Experts previously convinced the sodium batteries would not be viable until 2035. It has the same capacity and size as lithium at 1/10 the cost, lasts 25 years, and runs fine at 30 degrees minus Celsius. Amazon's robotics team is working towards automating 75% of the company's entire operations. Company expects to ditch 160,000 U.S. roles that would otherwise be needed by 2027. This would save about 30 cents on every item Amazon warehouses and delivers to customers, with automation efforts expecting to save the company $12.6 billion 2025 to 2027. Politico is writing that U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has introduced sweeping reforms to arms sales, moving the Defense Security Cooperation Agency from the Pentagon's policy division to its acquisition branch in order to accelerate sales to foreign buyers and weapons production. The move aims to cut bureaucracy, boost exports, and better align U.S. defense production with the needs of its allies and global munitions. Reports indicate that at least 6 Trump administration appointees, those are Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and others, have relocated to housing in Washington military installations. These moves leverage the secure perimeters of armed protection of bases like Fort McNair and Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, where housing is typically reserved for high-ranking uniformed officials. And Europe is rapidly constructing civilian shelters in Kashmir region, the border, with plans to build 500 shelters. They've already got 50 completed. German automaker Volkswagen has reportedly lost $1 billion plus for the Q3 of 2025, and protests in Tanzania are entering their 3rd day. That is your crisis report for October 31st, 2025. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. There's a link in the description if you'd like to check them out. We appreciate you being here. Other links as well. God bless and have a great day.